The words crawled across her mind like a slow poison. Her hands shook as she picked it up. The ink looked fresh, still slightly wet. Someone had been inside her home while she slept. Her knees felt weak. She dropped into a chair, her breath trembling as panic washed over her. How had they gotten in? Every door had been locked. Every window shut. She tried to remember if she heard anything last night, but everything blurred together. The whispers, the tapping, the silence that had wrapped around her like a fog. Her phone rang suddenly, and she jumped. The screen flashed with Dana's name. "Thank God," she whispered, answering it quickly. "Dana. You won't believe what happened last night. Someone was here." Dana's voice came through groggy, still half asleep. "Jeanette, slow down. What are you talking about?" "There was a note," Jeanette said, trying not to cry. "It said, I was here. Someone broke in while I was sleeping." "Are you sure? Maybe it's a prank." "No," she snapped. "Dana, I'm not crazy. I locked every door, every window. They got inside." Dana paused, the concern in her voice rising. "All right, I'm coming over. Don't touch anything. Just wait for me." The call ended, and Jeanette sat in silence. She glanced at the note again, then around her kitchen. Everything looked normal. The chairs were in their place, the counter clean, the door locked. Yet she could feel it, that invisible trace of someone else's presence. A faint smell of smoke. A feeling that the air had been moved, touched by something she didn't understand. A knock at the door startled her. She froze, staring toward it. "Jeanette, it's me." Dana's voice called. She hurried to open it, relief flooding her chest when she saw her best friend's familiar face. Dana stepped inside, scanning the room with cautious eyes. "Okay, show me the note." Jeanette handed it to her. Dana read it slowly, frowning. "You're right. This is messed up. You should call the police." Jeanette shook her head. "And say what? That someone broke in but didn't steal anything? They'll think I'm paranoid." Dana sighed. "You can't just ignore this." Before Jeanette could answer, something caught her eye, a faint muddy footprint near the back door. Her stomach dropped. She knelt down, tracing the outline with her finger. It was larger than hers, heavy, like from a man's boot. And it led inside the house. Dana followed her gaze, her voice low. "Okay, that's not good." Jeanette's throat tightened. "He was in here." He walked around. They followed the trail into the hallway. The print stopped near the living room, where the carpet began. Jeanette's skin prickled. She could almost imagine him standing there, watching her as she slept. Dana turned to her, whispering, "We should go to the police now." Jeanette nodded weakly, but before they could leave, her phone buzzed again. A text message. No name. Just a number she didn't recognize. It read, "You shouldn't have told her." Jeanette's hands went cold. She showed the message to Dana, who stared in disbelief. "He's watching us," Jeanette whispered. "He's watching right now." Dana grabbed her arm. "We're leaving. Now." They rushed outside, scanning the neighborhood. The street looked empty, quiet, normal. But somewhere, she knew he was there, watching from the shadows, enjoying her fear. At the police station, Jeanette told them everything. The notes, the whispering, the footprint. The officer listened, taking notes, but his tone was tired, skeptical. "Do you have any enemies? Ex-boyfriends? Someone who might be trying to scare you?" Jeanette hesitated. There was one person, her ex-husband, Mark. He'd been unstable after the divorce, angry that she'd moved on. But could he do something like this? "I don't know," she said softly. "Maybe." The officer nodded. "We'll look into it." But she could see in his eyes that he didn't believe her. That night, Jeanette stayed at Dana's apartment. For the first time in days, she felt a bit of safety. But safety didn't last long. Around midnight, her phone buzzed again. Another text. "You can't hide forever." She stared at it, her heart pounding, tears filling her eyes. She showed Dana the phone, her voice barely a whisper. "He found me." Dana turned to Jeanette, her voice barely above a whisper. "Who do you think it is?" Jeanette stared at the floor for a moment, her hands shaking. "When I first started getting the messages, I thought it was random, a stranger. But there's something familiar about them, the words, the way he writes." Dana frowned. "Familiar how?" Jeanette took a deep breath. "My ex Ryan. He used to say things like that when we argued. He knew how to get inside my head. He always said I'd never escape him." Dana's eyes widened. But I thought he moved away. Didn't he? Jeanette nodded slowly. That's what I thought too. But last month, I got an email from him, an apology. He said he wanted to start over. I ignored it. A week later, the messages began. A chill passed between them. Dana stood up and grabbed her phone. We're going to the police right now. Jeanette shook her head. No. I need to end this myself. If I run again, he'll keep following me. Dana hesitated. You're not thinking clearly. He's dangerous. Jeanette looked at her with quiet determination. So am I when I've had enough. That night, she waited. She sat alone in her living room, lights off, the phone in her hand. Outside, the rain poured hard, hitting the windows like a drumbeat. Every shadow moved like a threat. Every sound made her pulse quicken. She knew he would come. He wanted control, and tonight, she was going to take it back. Midnight passed. Then, a faint noise, the creak of the door. She froze. Her breath caught. The doorknob turned slowly, and the door opened an inch. A shadow slipped inside. Tall, slow-moving, deliberate. Jeanette stayed quiet, gripping the small taser she had hidden beside her. The figure moved closer. The lightning flashed, and for a split second, she saw his face. Ryan. Her stomach twisted. His eyes were wild, empty, obsessed. I told you, he whispered, his voice low and steady, you can't hide forever. Jeanette stood up, her voice shaking but strong. Why are you doing this? Ryan tilted his head. Because you left. Because you made me feel invisible. You think you can erase me? Jeanette stepped back slowly. You need help, Ryan. He smiled, a cold, broken smile. You were my help. He lunged forward. Jeanette pressed the taser against his arm, electricity crackled, and he fell to the floor screaming. She dropped the taser and ran toward the door, but he grabbed her ankle, pulling her down. She kicked hard, freeing herself, and stumbled to her feet. Just then, the front door burst open. Dana and two officers rushed in. Freeze! One shouted, aiming his weapon. Ryan looked up, his face twisted with rage. You think this ends here? He hissed. The officers tackled him to the ground, handcuffing him as he struggled. Jeanette backed away, trembling, tears in her eyes. It was finally over. Outside, as the rain slowed, the flashing red and blue lights painted the wet street. Jeanette stood under the glow, silent, exhausted. Dana placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You did it. It's over now. Jeanette nodded, her voice quiet. No, it's not over. Not really. People like him don't just disappear. They wait, and they watch. Dana frowned. You don't think? Jeanette looked toward the dark street ahead. He wasn't working alone. Dana's eyes widened. What do you mean? Jeanette pulled out her phone and opened the last message Ryan had sent before being arrested. It was a single text. It read, You caught me, but she's still out there. The screen flickered once, then went black. Jeanette's reflection stared back at her, pale, tired, but unbroken. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled again, as if warning her that the nightmare wasn't truly finished. But this time, she was ready. It was late afternoon when Jeanette parked her car in front of her house. The air was heavy, still carrying the warmth of the day, and she could feel the unease settling in her chest. She had just finished her shift at the local diner, the one place she thought she was safe from everything that had gone wrong in her life. But today, something was off. Her phone had been buzzing all day, strange calls with no voice on the other end. At first, she thought it was a prank, but now she wasn't sure. She stepped out of the car and looked around. Her street was quiet, too quiet. The sound of kids playing, the occasional bark of a dog, even the hum of passing cars, all gone. Only the wind moved through the trees. As she walked to her front door, she saw a small white envelope tucked between the screen and the wooden door. There was no name, no address, just a single red smudge, like a fingerprint. She hesitated, her heart thudding hard enough for her to hear it. She picked up the envelope, opened it slowly, and inside was a note written in messy handwriting. You took something that wasn't yours. Now, you'll pay for it. Her hands trembled. She dropped the letter, glancing around to see if anyone was watching her. No one was there. She tried to convince herself it was some cruel joke. Maybe her ex, or someone from work trying to scare her. But deep down, she knew this was something else, something darker. She went inside, locking the door behind her. The house felt colder than usual, even though the heater was running. She called her best friend, Dana, but the call went straight to voicemail. Hey, it's me. I just got something weird in the mail. I don't know what's going on. Call me back, please. Her voice cracked as she ended the call. She wanted to believe that by tomorrow, this would all make sense. But a part of her already knew that her life was about to change. That night, Jeanette couldn't sleep. Every sound in the house made her jump, the creak of the floorboards, the hum of the fridge, even the ticking of the clock on her wall. Around midnight, she thought she saw something outside, a shadow, moving near her driveway. She peeked through the blinds, but nothing was there. Just the darkness, stretching endlessly across the street. Then came the sound, a faint tapping on her window. Once. Twice. 3 times. Her breath caught in her throat. She backed away, her heart racing. The tapping stopped, replaced by silence. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Slowly, she reached for her phone, but it slipped from her trembling hands and hit the floor. She crouched to pick it up, and that's when she heard it, a voice whispering her name. Jeanette. She froze. It sounded close, like someone was standing just outside her window. She stayed perfectly still, her chest tight, her pulse hammering in her ears. The whisper came again, softer this time, almost tender. Jeanette. I know what you did. She ran to her bedroom, slammed the door shut, and locked it. Her mind raced. Who was it? What did they want? She tried to call 911, but before she could press the button, the lights flickered and went out. The house was swallowed by darkness. Only the faint glow from the street light outside remained, casting long shadows across her floor. Then, the whispering stopped. The silence was worse than the noise. She sat on her bed, gripping her phone like a weapon. Minutes passed, or maybe hours, before exhaustion pulled her under. When she woke, the sun was rising, light spilling into her room. For a moment, she thought maybe it had all been a nightmare. But when she walked into the living room, she froze. On her kitchen table was another note, this one written in the same messy handwriting. I was here. Jeanette couldn't sleep. The glow of her phone screen burned through the darkness like a threat that refused to fade. She stared at the message, you can't hide forever. Her mind raced. How did he know where she was? Only Dana and the police knew she had left her home. Did that mean someone was watching her even now? She got up from the couch quietly, afraid to wake Dana, and peeked through the blinds. The street outside was empty. Only the flicker of a broken street light moved against the walls. But then, for a moment, she thought she saw something, a dark shape standing near the parked cars. Her breath caught. She blinked and looked again, but the shape was gone. Her heart thumped so hard she could hear it. She turned off her phone, crawled back into the couch, and tried to convince herself that it was just her imagination. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. The next morning, Dana was already awake, holding 2 cups of coffee. You didn't sleep either? She asked softly. Jeanette shook her head. He texted again last night. Dana frowned. We need to go to the police again. This isn't just harassment anymore. Jeanette hesitated. And say what? That he knows where we are? They'll ask how, and I don't even know the answer. Dana sighed. Then we'll find out ourselves. The 2 women decided to check Jeanette's house one more time, maybe they'd missed something before. When they arrived, everything looked as it did before. But the air felt heavy, still, as if the house itself was watching them. Jeanette unlocked the door slowly. Stay close, she whispered. Inside, sunlight filtered through the blinds, cutting across the dusty floor. It was too quiet. The kind of silence that made every sound feel like an echo. They moved from room to room, searching for any sign that someone had been there again. Nothing, until they reached Jeanette's bedroom. Dana pointed toward the window. Wait, didn't you say it was closed before? Jeanette froze. The window was open just a few inches. Enough for someone to peek inside. Or to slip a hand through. She stepped closer, then saw something on the nightstand, a folded piece of paper. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Written in the same handwriting as before were the words. You shouldn't have come back. Jeanette's heart dropped. He was here again, she whispered. While we were gone. Dana backed away slowly. We need to get out of here now. But before they could leave, Jeanette's phone buzzed again. Another text message. This time, it wasn't just words. It was a photo. Her stomach twisted as she looked at it, a picture of her and Dana standing in front of the house just moments ago. Taken from across the street. Jeanette dropped the phone. He's watching us right now, she said, her voice breaking. Dana grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the door, but the doorknob wouldn't turn. Locked. From the outside. Panic filled the air. Jeanette ran to the back door, but it was the same. Locked tight. The windows too, sealed shut. Dana tried to stay calm, whispering, "There's another way out. There has to be." Then came the sound, a slow creaking from upstairs. Footsteps. Heavy. Slow. Measured. Jeanette looked at Dana, her eyes wide with fear. "He's inside," she whispered. The footsteps grew louder, closer. Dana motioned for her to hide. They slipped behind the couch, crouching low, trying not to breathe. The creaks continued down the hallway, and then, silence. For a moment, everything stopped. Then the front door suddenly burst open. 2 police officers rushed in, guns drawn. "Police! Is anyone here?" one shouted. Jeanette stood up, shaking, tears in her eyes. "He was here. He was upstairs," she cried. The officers moved quickly, searching every room. They checked the closets, the attic, the basement, but there was no one. Not a single sign of forced entry. The window upstairs was open, and a small ladder leaned against the back wall outside. Whoever it was, they were gone, again. One officer turned to Jeanette. "Whoever's doing this knows your routine. You need to leave town for a while." Jeanette nodded, too scared to argue. As they left, she looked back one last time at her home. For a split second, she thought she saw a shadow move across her bedroom window. But when she blinked, it was gone. That night, back at Dana's apartment, Jeanette sat by the window staring out at the city lights. "He's not going to stop," she whispered. "He's always one step ahead." Dana placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll find him first." Jeanette looked at her friend, her eyes filled with determination and fear. "I think I know who it might be,"